G'day guys, Coffee here. Welcome back to another video on Eternal Magic. So before we quickly jump into this build that I'm about to show you guys, I want to do a quick shout out for our Discord. If you guys haven't joined already, make sure you do. We're going to be running the guild when it comes to the NA servers and would love to have you there. Okay, let's move on. So we have two different builds that I'm going to be covering today for the Assassin. The first build that is going to be mostly about PvP. I would not use this in Heroic or the leveling process. It's just not going to work, so don't try it. Okay, so the stats. What do we have? We have the damage over time is increased by 20%, works well with poison, normal attack and flying knives with 30% chance to apply anesthetic ointment. Anesthetic ointment is going to basically apply another debuff and they're going to take damage over time. That lasts 10 seconds. Damage is increased by 20% to monsters, and also when you use this as an active, it's going to make you vanish. Okay, so then we have the poison attack. We have quick assassin. So these are two skills that are going to apply the same debuff pretty much. You're going to use quick assassin to mainly recover your combo points, and you're going to be using this one here. It's got energy, so you really need this. You need to be using two quite often because you don't want to waste all your energy quickly, and you need to build those combo points. Poison attack, it's a combo skill, deals 261 damage, gives one combo point, and adds a poison attack every 3 seconds, deals 200 damage. So you want to make sure that you use this every 4th, 5th, 6th ability, give or take, because you do not want your poison attack to drop, because you want to keep that ticking damage going on them. The goal of this build is to dwindle down the opponents. It's not going to be instant damage, but because you can vanish and you can get around and you're going to be unseeable pretty much, they're not going to be able to do instant burst damage on you, and that's why this build works so well on PvP. I've tried it, I've seen other people do it, and it's been a lot of success when it comes to 1 vs 1s. Okay, so if you use this ability or this ability out of invisibility, it's going to cause confusion for 3 or 4 seconds. And then we have Shuriken. Why I've got Shuriken here, well, you can choose one of these other ones, but overall they just don't work as well. When it comes to a situation where you need to kite and you're running backwards, you can just use this, and then you can, apply some damage to them, and then you will go ahead and use your Fury, which will make it so you're unhittable again, and then you just go back into Invis, well, if you can. At which point, hopefully, they've actually started to die. I'll explain how the class works overall in a second. So Fury, we can use the Poison Slate, or you can use Fury. I decided to use Fury because it does when you go ahead and cast a spell, you're going to make it so you can't be hit for like 2 or 3 seconds. Give it a chance for your other cooldowns to come back up, and as well as gives your poison more of a chance to dwindle down the opponent. Then we have Concealment, we have Shadow Dance, and we have Flying Knives. So Flying Knives is very important, and I'll explain in a second. What Concealment does, it makes you basically invisible for 3 seconds. The cooldown is very long, so a short cooldown, it's actually pretty cool. But depends. If you've got lots of dots, then you might want to use that. On activation, immediately gains 25 energy points. Well, if you're not wasting your energy all the time, you probably don't need it, so I'd go cooldown. Then we have the Shadow Dance. Which one you would use? I wouldn't go 2 seconds duration, because you would usually get out of a cooldown pretty quickly. But if you go ahead and use your poison attacks, and you've just refreshed it, then the extra 2 seconds might be okay, because then you sit there and wait 6 seconds while those dots are just wrecking your enemy, but they can't attack you back. The other ones is upon activation restores 50 energy, and this one's cooldown 15 seconds. So it just depends on what you would prefer for your personal playstyle. Then we have Flying Knives, and why this is so important is it's not the damage it does, it's about the target gets paralyzed for 5 seconds when you use it and you're out of invisibility. So I'm not going to go into this passive just yet. We're going to have a quick look at the actual rotation, and you'll get a general idea of why this works. So you need to always be close when it comes to the assassin to attack the enemy. Okay, you won't be able to attack them unless you've got the Shuriken, but you wouldn't do that. So whenever you're approaching an enemy, you always want to have you use your T. You don't use one of these ones here. Come out and pop it with your R or your 1 and 2. Most likely R, so you paralyze. So they've got 5 seconds paralyzed in there. You apply your poisons. Okay, at this point, they're going to start attacking you back. You use your Shurikens, use your Fury, jump around, the poison's hurting them, reapply this stuff, and then jump back into Q. Okay, only because I've left the battle is that he's lost his dots here. But what that's done is that now I'm invisible, and I can move around and stuff, but he's still losing his HP because of the dots. So then you'd pop it back out, you come back out, and you use Confusion, or you would use your Flying Knives, and just reapply all the poisons again. and then kind of run away, make his life miserable on him. You know, keep walking backwards. Go back in, you know, use your fury again so he can't actually attack you in a poison. Go back into invis. That's what there is to it. So, as you can see, he's going to keep taking damage over time. In PvP, this works better than the training dummy. It really does. But whenever you can, you would use your flying knives to paralyze the enemies, or paralyze the enemy around you, and then he can't go ahead and find you. And it's just going to be useful because the allies and stuff like that you've got are going to be able to mess him up pretty damn quickly. So that's why this build works really well. Let's have a quick look at the shadow attack. That you want this one, interrupt the spells. You don't really need this one, and you don't need this one. This will not really be useful. It's only useful for heroics and stuff. You know, end game dungeon in case your tank is about to die. You can pull it off and then make yourself, you know, so you can't be hit for 10 seconds. Okay. So these are the quick actives, or the passive, sorry, that we want for this build. We want anticipation because of the combo points that just increases, because we're going to be, you know, kiting, going backwards and forwards, going in viz. This will just give you more combo points that you can have a larger open with. Of course, if you're going to be using the poison blade instead of the fury, then I suggest that you probably change one of the abilities or one of them for this one here. Next, we want to have the essence of Bleach. What it does is, with the poison and specialization, choosing basic attack deals more damage. You're going to be doing lots of basic attacks because you just, you know, you hit quickly and you're going to be on top of him all the time. Endurance and energy from the target, 20% chance to recover one combo point. So while you're using your abilities, you'll be getting those combo points back, meaning that you can hit harder for your 3 and 4. We have enhanced concealment. That's going to reduce the cooldown by 30 seconds, so that's pretty important. Because you could probably, some of the battles in EM, they may last for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. It just depends on the actual classes and what their levels are and what their stats are and stuff like that. Mortal Wound. So it works well with Poison Attack and Quick Assassin. And it says, in effects of confusion or silence continue to be active, your damage is increased by 5%. And they also, the thing that I like about this, target receives weakness, her damage decreases by 30% for 5 seconds. So if you can apply the Mortal Wound on her, if there's a moment where they're actually attacking you, well, it's okay because they've just lost 30% of their attack power. So pretty useful in my opinion. But that pretty much covers it for the poison build. The next build I'm going to talk about is the leveling build that I used. And I got to level 50 in CBT in like 2.5 hours. Something silly using this next build. Okay, so this build here is mainly for leveling. I wouldn't use it when it comes to heroics and stuff. So I'm going to make this very short. Basically, the abilities, the way they work is that you need to use Creeping Shadows on cooldown, and you want to use your Evading Pursuers on cooldown, and we're going to be messing up, absolutely destroying the PvE mobs. When it comes to the bosses, you're going to struggle a little bit more, but with a bit of practice, you'll be fine. And that's why we have this stimulator. We use this, we could use another ability, such as like Flying Knives or whatever it may be, what your personal preference would be, but then you're going to have a hard time when it comes to beating the bosses solo. Alright, so we use this one here over the poison build just because we want instant damage, because we want to kill the enemies instantly and then move on to the next one. In fact, you will, if you buy the Royal, I'm not condoning that you should buy anything in this game, free to play, you do what you want to do, but what I personally did in CBT is that I did have the this package up here, and I brought this one here for 450 gems, and it gave me this weapon here, Dagger of Truth, and it basically levels as you level, and so up until level 40, I just kept this weapon on, and it was super powerful. And I just smashed out the leveling really quick. But you only get that if you actually buy the Royal package. Alright, now, it was... Yeah, so... words. Right, so this does more damage, but it does more energy. It takes more energy than this one. This will apply more damage over time. However, that's not what we want. We want instant damage. We use Quick Assassin because he does 200 damage, and then it gives us more combo points, which is what we want. I wouldn't use the Hit at Heart. Hit at Heart is okay for different ones over here. Where is it? I can't remember. Nope, I don't remember. Yeah, just overall, it wasn't as good as this one here because, oh, that's right, because of energy. This cost 35 energy. This was instant and didn't cost energy, but that one cost more energy. Therefore, you know, they work well. Just do it that way, trust me. Breaching Strike. We want to use this instantly. So we pop our Q and we'll pop behind somebody. We should have 3 or 4 combo points because we've got this one here, Anticipation, and we've also built in your combo points from your previous kill. So use Breach and Strike, it's going to do a lot of damage, and hit 8% of the target's armor lasts 12 seconds. So you just drop the target, the armor of the opponent, therefore you can hit them harder with your other skills. Fury, this is just overall strong. You don't want to use Poison Blade or your Sword Dance. Fury, it's just strong, guys. Just use Fury, okay? It's really, really strong. You'll use it on cooldown. It's going to cost combo points as well, but it's going to pretty much wipe out whatever enemy you jump onto at that time and deal a lot of damage, and then you'll instantly get your Creeping Shadows back. Because how Creeping Shadow works, if you've got the right runes active, so purple, green, and red in this my build, so it does, after the death blow, immediately restores the skill's cooldown. So you can literally, if I could kill these guys here, I would show you how it works, but I can't because they don't die. You would jump behind something, and then you would attack it with your free, and then you would apply the armor debuff on the opponent, and then by this stage, the enemy will be pretty much already dead. And then instantly your Q will be back, and then you use your Q again to dash to somebody else. You press 3 and you press 1 again, and then you just your cooldown will be back. So you just jump behind the next opponent that is 10 steps away. So you'll be faster than them out. And I tested this. Me and Variety Weeb, we were leveling I was leveling my second character on CBT, and I actually leveled up faster than I did with a group of 4 people the night before, just doing solo, doing this exact build. So yeah, if you want to level up quickly, use this build. So with the passives, Anticipation, obviously, Vibrate and Blade, just standard attacks, because you're still going to be standard attacks. We want that energy to be built up. We have Finishing moves, spend combo points, recovers 20% energy. I mean, you can change these around a little bit, but it works just as it is. And this one, it works better with the 1 and 4, so that's why I've got that one rather than the other ones. That's pretty much all you need to know. I know you're not going to get all of these skills early on in leveling, but, it takes longer to level from 35 to 50 than it does from 1 to 35 as an example, so you will have majority of your skills unlocked. Okay, so this is the third and final build that I want to quickly show you guys. This is a bit of a unique build, and it's kind of a mixture. There's nothing that's actually going directly around 1 or 2 abilities, so I can't really show you the actual rotation of this build either, because of the nature of where I am. So first of all, we would want to go to the Shadow Dancer, because Flying Blades doesn't consume energy, and we use Flying Blades quite frequently. This is going to be a bit of a heroic / AoE build that does still lots of single target damage. It keeps you alive, and it's got a bit of versatility when it comes to just helping your allies, as well as tanking your boss and still doing lots of damage. So we want to have the provoke there. Okay, so we use the poison build still. Poison here because it's going to do more damage for extended battles. We have Quick Assassin because of combo points, of course. Hit it hard, I keep going back to that, but I just don't think it's as good. We have Breaching Strike. It's going to reduce the target's armor by 12 seconds. You would use this just before you popped your R as an example, so you can hit them harder in your counter attack, or you could use it depends. It's just up to you, personal preference on that one really. We still got to stick with Fury. I just think that's better because you can use this in order to dodge an enemy. As an example, it's about to come down and hit you pretty hard. You can pop this and you'll be able to avoid its ability, especially when it comes to physical stuff. Flying Knives, you can change this one up, but I would like, there's not a lot of AoE when it comes to the Assassin, so you could probably use something like Energy Recovery, and that would be useful in some circumstances. Or you can use the Mirage if you're going to go for a bit of an evasion build. This also works well with PvP. You could probably, I'll explain this to you in a second on why it works, but I haven't actually tested it in PvP, so I don't know how it would actually work in the environment properly. Once again, that comes with personal preference, because when it comes to the Assassin, he does a lot of single target damage, but you need to be able to be useful when it comes to trash mobs as well. So what I would do, personally, I'm going to be buying this thing here, so I can quickly change between my AoE build doing the mobs, and then when I get to the boss, I'll just quickly change over to my single target damage boss, and then just do that for each boss when it comes to the plus 10s and stuff that I intend to be carrying people through. Anyway, so what this works and how this works, and this goes in with the passive abilities. Ultimate Dodge, it makes it so you are invisible for you evasion for 100% chance for evasion for 8 seconds. Okay, so that alone is really good, but the cooldown is quite large, so you can't use it all the time. So you would use, for example, you would provoke the boss to attack you, and he's generally not going to kill you in one hit, depending on the boss, but you want to pop your cooldown pretty quickly. So he can't attack you, and you would only ever do this if you were confident in your abilities to keep yourself alive and kite around, and you would give your tank a breather. Don't pull it off the tank unless you intend to somehow tank it yourself, okay? Because a lot of people do that. They provoke the tank, they provoke the boss, and it's a bad habit because it means that the tank's got to use the his cooldown to pull it back, because he should be intentionally trying to make the AoEs and stuff that the boss uses points away from the groups, pretty much. So it works in with the Ghost Shadow here, and this ability opens up at level 58. Mirage cooldown is 2 seconds faster. Blade Dance increases your damage by 10%. During ultimate dodge, for each melee attack you evade, there is a counter attack that deals 1100 damage. So this is why it would work really well in PvP against certain people. If you were versing another assassin, or you were versing Spellblade or a knight as an example, they would be, unless they're actually a skilled player, they're going to be trying to just press their abilities as quickly as possible to wreck you. That's what people do. They just kind of roll their face on the keyboard and hope for the best. Well, if that's the case, then you just simply pop your ultimate dodge. They're going to be like, why is his HP not going down? I don't understand. Because they're not going to notice that you've got a buff that's making it so you can't get hit. Because players, usually aren't that skilled. Some players are, don't get me wrong. You can be that skilled. But usually, when you're at a pressure situation, you're not looking at the buffs and stuff. And every time that they try and hit you, you're going to evade it. And then you're going to hit them back. So this is why this works in PvP as well. I didn't talk about this too much because I haven't tested it, like I said. But it will do the counter attack damage, and then after 8 seconds, you would go ahead and you just pop your Mirage, and it's 30% area damage, evades enemies' attacks, reduces all the area damage received for a short time by 30%, lasts 4 seconds, and then you can put these other cooldowns on if you're going to go. If you want to go this one here, for example, to increase it for how long it can last, and the AOE damage is increased, but yada yada. It just depends on how you work and how you actually want to play your character. Depends on the runes. I can only make suggestions, but it may not work for you. Now, why this also works with the ultimate dodge and then the Mirage is that you would use your Fury first, because you're applying damage to them, but they can't apply damage back to you because, well, you're dashing around like no man, so they can't actually hit you. As long as you've placed your 2 poisons on them, they're still going to be taking damage, and then they're going to take counter-attack damage. So if you understand it, it's actually pretty cool. Pretty useful. And then, of course, we've got the Bloodsucker passive down here. If you happen to be a level lower HP, then your Bloodsucker is going to be you're going to get HP back from this passive. Then, of course, we've got this one here that's going to give more energy back and then more combo points, just so you can go into a battle with lots of combo points and quickly wreck them as fast as possible. Blade Dancer, crit damage 10% after use. The damage will receive from players 10% will close on repeated use. I don't really understand it, but as far as I kind of understand it, it does more damage. All right. More damage is always good, yeah? I can't really see anything else here that would be overly useful when it comes to the build. I didn't get to test the heroics and stuff that much with the assassin, but mainly I noticed they were using single target abilities, and this looked sort of like the build. I checked a couple of different players, and they all run similar builds to this sort of thing. But like I said, it's definitely possible for PvP. And if you have a build that you want to share that you think is good, then hit me up on Discord. I'd love to have a look at it and see what you guys come up with. Oh, I forgot to mention the awakening skills. So let's quickly cover that and what the rotation would be, so you kind of understand it, what it does. This is just a filler, Shadow Edge. Deadly attack just does X amount of damage, and it's a maximum amount of 5 arrows. Each arrow does more damage. So how this works is basically you want to use your 2 to place down damage, but then you place down a ghost. So you use this on cooldown, like as quickly and as often as you can. It's the first thing that you should be doing. And then this one here, Boomerang Blade, a fatal circle with 6 meters, with a radius of 6 meters, strikes all enemies for 800 damage. So this, all the shadows that you put out, all the ghosts, they actually do the same abilities from moving onwards. And then we have the Shadow Assassination. So I will quickly show you what it looks like. Press U, and then you place the shadow in that area, and you want to use your 1, use your 3, use your 2, and each time your shadow will actually do the same ability. Press 2 again, place another shadow down. You don't want to use your 4 as quickly as possible. Keep using your 3 because it does more damage. Press 2 again, and at some point you want to use your 4, because when you do, all your shadows are actually placing the damage too. So the goal is to simply have lots of shadows in the area. But if you use your 4 too quickly, it disperses the shadows and then they will no longer be effective. So here it says, series of ghost attacks at a specific point lasts 5 seconds and deals 1200 damage. Physical damage every 0.5 seconds. The assassin takes 80% less damage. Okay, so if there is more than one ghost, the basic skills are 100% maximum plus 400%. So it is very, very strong, this awakening, and it can be used in AoE or single target areas. Just make sure that you focus on your lethal chase and just put down as many ghosts as possible, and don't actually leave it too late to use your shadow assassination. If you're at 20%, you need to press 4, otherwise you're going to miss a large burst of your damage. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out our other videos. You can support the channel by showing the love and commenting below and checking out those we are affiliated with. You can also get access to all our different social medias, which I'll link down below. Until next time, Coffee out.